Hi everyone, it's me, Robyn, and I'm going to read you a story. This story is called Moving Molly by Shirley Hughes. Molly lived in a town. There were 7 steps down to her front door from the street. When Molly was a little baby, her mum had to pull the pram up the steps when they went out. Bump, 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 bump. But now Molly was far too big to go in a pram. Molly's big sister Joni and her big brother Patrick played out on the pavement with the other children when they came home from school. They had made Molly's old pram wheels into a go-kart and they whizzed up and down on it as far as the corner and back again. And sometimes they gave Molly rides too. Look, there she is, having a ride. From Molly's window you could see lots of legs going by. Sometimes you could see cats too, sitting on the railings. Mum said that she didn't much like to see just legs and cats out of the window, but Molly liked them. She always watched out for her dad's legs when it was time for him to come home from work. Mum had some plants in pots on the windowsill to make the view look prettier. Molly often helped her water them. Some of the plants grew quite tall in the summertime, if the cats didn't come and scratch them up. Molly wished that they had a real garden, big enough to play in. And there she is with her mummy watering the plants. Then one day her wish came true. Mum and Dad told the children that they had found a house with a garden for them all to live in. Right away, everyone began to make plans. So Mum is thinking about a garden. Dad is thinking about growing vegetables. Molly is thinking about her swing. Her big sister Joni is thinking about a guinea pig. And her brother is thinking about riding his bike. The very next Sunday, Dad took them all to see the new house. It was quite a long way away. First they clattered around all the empty rooms, deciding where to put everything. Then they all went to look at the garden. It was long and thin, and it had a little lawn and some trees down at the bottom. Someone had left a lot of rubbish lying about in it. Molly thought that this looked quite interesting, but Dad said that there would be lots of tidying up to do. On moving day, everything got piled up in funny places, and there were boxes everywhere. A big van arrived with 2 men in it, and they were called Gary and Les, and they could pick up all the furniture as if it wasn't very heavy at all. They started to carry all the family things up the stairs and into the van, and they're saying, "Over to the left a bit, Les. I think I packed it. Where's my screwdriver?" When they finished, the rooms looked very empty and strange. Even the carpets had gone from the floor. A piece of wallpaper was hanging loose off of the wall where Molly's bed had been. Look, it's all empty now. Molly lifted up the flap and wrote a very small M for Molly underneath with a blue crayon. Then she stuck it down with spit because she knew we mustn't write on walls. When it was time to go, Gary and Les said that she could go in with them in the front of the big van if she was good. They helped her hop up beside them. It was very high up. The others all got into the little car behind. They were very low down. Then Gary started the engine and they were off. It was nearly dark when they arrived at the new house. The children ran up the path of their new front door, and Gary and Les and Mum and Dad started to unload all the furniture, boxes and suitcases. And then the empty rooms began to be full of jumbled up things. When it was all done, they had a cup of tea. Then Gary and Les said goodbye, and the family went to wave them off in the empty van. And look, there they all are, having their nice cup of tea. That evening, Molly went to bed in her new little bedroom. It was very exciting because she had never had a room of her own before. She lay awake for a long time. It was very quiet outside with no footsteps passing by, but she could hear some cats calling to each other in the next door garden. Molly liked cats, and she went off to sleep listening to them. Now they all started to settle down into their new house. Every day Mum was busy painting and wallpapering and getting things in order. And every day when Dad came home, he was busy in the garden. And look, there they are, getting the house ready. Joni and Patrick started their new school. They caught the school bus every day at the end of the road. Sometimes Molly went to see them off. Molly wasn't big enough to go to that school, and she couldn't go to playgroup either because it was too far away. After school, Patrick went out on his new 2-wheeler, which he had just learnt to ride, and Joni went to feed her new guinea pig in its wooden house. They were all very busy. Molly hadn't very much to do. There were no plants to water yet. She looked over the gate, but not many people seemed to be passing. She climbed up and looked over the fence, but the house next door was empty. There was a field at the bottom of the garden, but there were no cows in it, only grass. She tried to talk to the guinea pig, but he was fast asleep at the back of his house and wouldn't come out. So Molly went to the rubbish heap to see if she could find anything interesting to play with, and there behind piles of old tins and bottles she found a hole in the fence, and it led to the garden next door. Molly slipped through the hole. Oh, what's going to happen next? The grass on the other side was very long, higher than Molly's head in places, and it was all grown up with weeds and brambles. It was a jungle for cats. Molly met a black one walking through the grass, and a ginger one, and a striped one washing themselves in a patch of sunlight. She found a greenhouse leaning against a wall. It had no door, and some of its panes were broken. Inside were a lot of old plant pots. Molly looked at them. Some of them had plants growing in them. When she went back for tea, Molly didn't tell anybody about the hole in the fence, or the overgrown garden next door, or the greenhouse. But after this she went there quite often. Sometimes she took water in an old jug to give the plants a drink. There was always something to do next door. It was a very good place to play in if you were by yourself. One day, Molly was swinging at the gate when she saw a big van coming up their road.